Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast paced, high pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Leadership Podcast on the Transformation Network, the podcast where we turn stress into strategy, overthinking into clarity, and overwhelm into momentum. I'm your host, Singh, the leadership coach who knows that growth does not happen through burnout, it happens through alignment. Let's begin. Let's talk about leadership, but not the Pinterest quote version. Leadership is not just about managing tasks, it's about managing expectations. And let me tell you, if those expectations are not clear, stress does not just creep in, it kicks the door down and starts wrecking that place upside down. So, if you have ever thought you were on the same page with someone, only to find out later you were not even in the same book. Maybe you are over here, Harry Potter, and they are in the Game of Thrones. One's about magic and hope, the other's about dragons and trauma. It's chaos, right? And here's the kicker: the misalignment is it's not just awkward, it is also very expensive. It is costing you trust, productivity, and a whole lot of peace of mind. Today, I'm breaking down C.L.E.A.R method, a 5-step framework to help you align expectations, build trust, and lead with clarity. It is also, I will also share a real story as we go along about how one unspoken expectation almost cost a company $100 million and how you can avoid making the same mistake. By the end of this episode, you will have a simple, actionable tool to transform stress into success. All right, let's begin. Um, as always, let's start with a story about my friend Dan. Dan is one of those people who shows up to new job ready to crush. Day one, his boss says, "We have got an open door policy here." And Dan's thinking, "Oh, amazing, transparent leadership. And here we go. I'm about to thrive." Fast forward 2 weeks. Dan walks into boss's office to ask a question. The boss looks up at him like Dan just interrupted the series finale of his favorite Netflix show. You know the look, the one where the eyes say, Why are you here?" And the mouth says, "What do you need?" Turns out the open door policy actually meant to schedule a meeting and cross your fingers for a response in 3 days. Well, expectations not aligned, trust cracked, and then stressed out. So here's the thing: when expectations are not clear, they're not just frustrating, they're dangerous. They create confusion, unnecessary conflict, and teams that feel like they are working in quicksand. And before you start thinking, oh, that's just door dance problem, let me tell you, it is everywhere. Think about how many times you have been thrown into a project where no one defined the rules, or when a leader told you to just take the lead, but you were not sure what the lead even meant. That's why I developed the clear method, and I have been teaching this for 15 years now to help leaders avoid these Dan level disasters. When you clarify expectations upfront, you're not just saving your team from stress, you're building trust, creating commitment, and setting everyone up to win. Because let's be real, no one wants to be that Dan, and no one wants to be his boss either. the leader who unknowingly creates confusion. So stick around because we are about to dive in into how you can use clear method to lead with clarity and not chaos. All right. So let's talk about the clear method. What is in it? So it is a simple as all of the frameworks I have shared. Clear method is a simple 5-step framework to help you align expectations, reduce stress, and rebuild trust in your team. Think of it as the leadership GPS that stops you from driving your team straight into the ditch of confusion. Right. But before I jump into those steps, let me tell you why this matters because unclear expectations can get very, very expensive. So I worked with a company that nearly lost 100 million client. And here's what happened. The client said, we would like monthly updates. Innocent enough, right? Well, the client thought that meant detailed PowerPoint presentations. The team, on the other hand, thought it meant sending 3 bullet points via email, quick and easy. Well, 2 months later, the client is calling other vendors and the team is blindsided and everyone is scrambling to fix what went wrong. And all because no one stopped to ask, hey, when you say monthly updates, what exactly do you mean? But it is not just one company who was about to lose a $100 million client. Gallup's research shows that unclear expectations are the number one reason employees feel disengaged. And the disengagement is causing companies $7 trillion a year in lost productivity. That's trillion with a T for tango. So, how do you avoid this? You get clear. This framework is going to help you avoid these high stakes misunderstandings and start leading with clarity. Okay, let's break it down now. Don't worry, it's not one of those overly complicated frameworks where I use fancy words just to make myself sound smart. No, this is very practical, memorable, and easy to use. That's my commitment to this podcast that every show I bring in a tool that is simple and memorable. Let me set up a stage. Imagine you're playing a game of basketball, but no one explained the rules. Some people think it's full court, others think it's half court. The one guy is just dribbling in circles, yelling, I'm open. That's what unclear expectations feel like in leadership, a complete chaos. So the clear method is here to fix that. It is your playbook to align expectation, reduce stress, and build trust. Now, let's start with step one. Step one is the clarity. Here is where most leaders go wrong. They skip the basics. They assume their team knows the rules of engagement, but they don't. Let me tell you about a real life disaster I saw recently. A manager told her team, I will review projects within 24 hours. Sounds clear, right? Except no one clarified if 24 hours meant business hours or calendar hours. So when she took the weekend off, her team thought she had ghosted them. Cue the panic emails and Slack meltdowns, right? So here's how you clarify. Be specific. Instead of saying, I will get back to you soon, I will reply back within 24 business hours, unless it is marked urgent. Or if you don't respond on Slack in 2 hours, it's because I'm ignoring you because I am deep in work mode, right? Clarity kills confusion. And when you clarify the basics, you're not just managing your team, you're managing their anxiety too. Okay. The next step is to listen for unspoken. And here's where things get little sneaky. Sometimes it's not what is said, it is what is left unsaid that sabotages trust. People carry assumptions from past jobs, past bosses, even past trauma. And if you're not listening for those unspoken expectations, you're walking into a minefield. So here is another example. I worked with a leader, it's been a few months now, who inherited a team. His first week, he was all excited, saying things like, let's collaborate more. But little did he know, the team's last boss used collaboration as code for micromanaging. So now the entire team, they're all panicked thinking, oh no, not again. So how do you avoid this? Right? Ask questions. My favorite, what did your last leader do well and what drove you crazy? That one question will uncover a gold mine of unspoken expectation. You will learn what they value, what they fear, and how you can lead them better, right? So don't just listen, take notes. Nothing says I care like remembering little things that when you act on what you have learned, that trust on steroid. The next one, expressing boundaries, right? So talking about boundaries, because if you don't set them, you will burn out faster than a cheap candle. And here's the kicker: boundaries are not just about protecting yourself, they are also to protect your team. Ponder this: you got a leader who is constantly answering emails at midnight. What is the unspoken message there? If you're not working 24/7, you are slacking. That is how you create a stressed out, disengaged team. Instead, express your boundaries upfront. Say things like, I don't check email after 7 p.m., but if it is urgent, text me. Or I'm at my best after 10 a.m. So let's avoid heavy discussion before then. And don't just talk about boundaries, model them. If you want your team to take vacation guilt free, you have to take one yourself. Remember, leadership is about setting the tone. If you are running on fumes, your team will think they have to as well. And nobody does their work best when they are running on Red Bull and regrets, right? So that brings to the next one is adapt as you go. So the thing about expectations, they are not carved in stone. They are written in pencil, and that is a good thing because things change, priorities shift, people grow, and sometimes the plan just does not work. Think about the last 3 years. Remember how in early 2020, everyone said we will be back in office by summer? Yeah, how would that work? Expectations have to evolve, and a leader has to need to adapt. Schedule regular check ins to revisit expectations. Ask your team what is working, what is not working. What do you need to tweak? They are not just conversation, they are trust building exercises. And don't be afraid to admit when something is not working. There is power in saying, hey, this approach is not getting us the result we want. Let's pivot. That kind of honesty does not make you weak, it makes you human. And humans are way more relatable than robots. Even the robots are faster at answering the emails. And finally, let's talk about walking the talk, reinforcing in action, right? Because if you're not modeling the behavior you expect, your words mean nothing. Humans are wired to learn by observation. It's why kids imitate their parents and why employees imitate their leaders. So if you want your team to respect deadlines, respect theirs. If you want them to communicate clearly, lead by example. And when someone on your team nails it, celebrate it. Reinforce the behavior you want to see more of. Say, hey, I noticed how you clarified the deliverables on that project. That was solid leadership. Recognition is like rocket fuel for trust and morale. Remember, leadership is not about perfection, it is about progress. And progress happens when you consistently reinforce the right actions. So that's the clear method. Clarify the basics whatever in the team. Listen for unspoken, express boundaries, adapt as you go, and reinforce in action. Simple, actionable, and it works every time. Whether you're leading a team of 2 or 200, these steps can transform the way you lead and the way your team performs. And here's the best part: you don't have to be perfect at all. I have always said start small, pick one step, try it this week, and watch what happens. Because when you lead with clarity, you don't just reduce stress, you build trust, foster alignment, and create a culture where everyone thrives. All right, let's keep the momentum going. Next up, I'm going to go. I'm go, an interactive exercise that will help you put clear method into action today. Right? Um, no zoning out, no passive listening. This is where you grab a notebook and your phone, or even that sticky note that you have meaning to throw away. It's fine. We are about to do a clear audit, and trust me, this little exercise could save you weeks, if not months, of frustration. Here's the deal: leadership is not just about what you say, it is about what you assume. And assumptions are like the autocorrect of leadership. Sometimes they help, but most of the time they create chaos. Like when you meant to say, let's circle back later, but autocorrect changed it to Let's circle back to laser. Now, team thinks you're launching a tech startup. So let's stop assuming and start clarifying. I'm going to ask three simple questions. Here's the first one. What is one unspoken expectation you think your team has of you? Maybe your team expects you to respond to emails at midnight because that is what their last boss did. Or maybe they think you will personally review every tiny detail of their work because, well, you accidentally did that once. Here's the thing, if you don't ask, those unspoken expectations will stay hidden and they will drive everyone crazy. So take a moment and think, what is one thing your team might be expecting of me that we are never actually talked about? Write it down, right? Second question. This is a game changer, right? Are you assuming your team knows how to prioritize tasks? See, what is one assumption you're making about your team that might not be true? Do you assume that they are fine with how you run meetings? Or they all understand you are brilliant, color coded project tracker? Well, half of them probably don't. And one of them is definitely using as a doodle pad. Now, here's what I want you to do: write down one assumption you have been making about your team, just one. And then when you have a chance, ask them about it. You might be surprised by answer and by how much trust you've built by showing up that you care enough to ask. And then third one, the third question is, what is one expectation you can clarify this with? Just one. Now, now that you have identified unspoken and checked your assumption, it's time to take the action. And that's where maybe it is how you handle deadlines, or how often you want updates on a project, or maybe as simple as saying, hey, I don't check Slack after 7 p.m. So don't freak out if I don't reply right away. See, clarifying expectation does not have to be a big production, right? You don't need a TED talk and a fancy PowerPoint. Just pull your team aside and say, hey, I want to make sure we are all on the same page about whatever the topic is. And here is what I am thinking. What about you? That one conversation could save you weeks of misunderstanding. All right. Now that you have got your notes, here's my challenge. Actually, do it. Today, don't let this be one of those, oh, yeah, great idea. I will do that someday moment. Because trust me, someday usually turns into never. And here's the fun part: when you do it, take a photo of your notes, screenshot them, or just write a quick post about what you clarified. Tag me on LinkedIn with the hashtag getting clear. I want to see your wins. And I appreciate all the participants who have been sharing on LinkedIn with me. It's getting it's getting to be a good group there. And I will even shout out a few of my own favorites in next week's episode, right? The best leaders are not the one with all the answers. The best leaders are the ones who ask right questions. So go and ask, go clarify, and go lead with clarity. You have got this. All right. We have covered a lot today. The clear method is officially on the table, and I hope you're already thinking about how to apply it. Now, here is how you can take the next step starting now. DM me for the purpose factor assessment. Think of this as your leadership DNA test. It is not just another personality quiz that tells you which kind of bread you would be if you were baked in an artisanal oven, right? No. Um, this is precision tool that reveals why you lead the way you do, what drives you, and just as importantly, it identifies and tells you by precision what drains you. When you know the purpose factor, when you know your purpose factor, you stop guessing about your leadership style. You'll gain clarity on your strengths, awareness of your blind spots, and a filter for every decision you make. It is like putting on glasses for the first time. You will see everything more clearly, especially yourself. Now, when you lead with purpose, your team feels it. They know when you have aligned, and they know when you're just winging it. So stop winging it. DM me the word purpose on LinkedIn, and I'll send you the link to get started. Now, DM me your leadership wins. This is my favorite part of the week, hearing from you. I want to know, what was your biggest leadership win this week? Did you clarify an expectation that's been a thorn in your side? Did you have a tough conversation that ended better than expected? Did you finally set a boundary that felt impossible before? And here's what I will do: I'll shout out my favorite stories in next week's episode, because we need to celebrate leaders who are doing the work, leaders who get clear. And hey, don't be shy. Your story might inspire someone else to set up in their own leadership, right? So here's my challenge for you this week: pick up one expectation that has been causing stress. Whether it is about deadlines, communication, feedback, or even just how often you check in with your team, right? Just clarify it. Start small. It could be as simple as saying, hey, I realize we have never talked about how I like to give feedback. Here is how I usually approach. What works best for you? Simple question. One conversation could shift the entire dynamic of your team. And if you're thinking, but saying, what if it gets awkward? Let me tell you something: awkward is temporary. Stressful misalignment, that is forever. So lean into awkwardness and watch how much clarity transform the way you lead. Guys, here's the truth about leadership: it is not about being perfect. It is not about having all the answers, making right call every time. It's just about being clear. Because when you are clear, you reduce stress, you rebuild trust, and you create a culture where everyone knows what is expected. People don't leave companies, they leave confusion. People leave unclear leaders who leave them guessing. You can change that. You can be leader who brings clarity even in the chaos. So go out there, get clear, and make it count. DM me your questions, your wins, or just to say hi, I'm here for you. And don't forget to tag me with your notes or reflection using hashtag getting clear. Now we have reached the end of the episode, but today we broke down the clear method step by step, and why it is your secret weapon for building trust, reducing stress, and creating a team that actually wants to show up on Monday morning. But before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Leadership is not about managing tasks, it's about managing expectations. And when you lead with clarity, you don't just get a more productive team, you get a happier, more engaged one. And let's be clear, it is that the dream, a team that does not just tolerate you, but actually likes working with you. That is the power of clarity. Now, if you are sitting thinking, this sounds great, saying, but how do I even start? Let me break it down one more time in case you're multitasking and missed a step. Step one, clarify the basics. No more vague instructions like do it ASAP. ASAP is a trap. ASAP means whenever I panic about this later. Be specific. Listen for unspoken. Remember, your team is not psychic, and neither are you. This is my favorite quote. Whenever a new member joins my team working with me, whether it is a leader in my team or in the organization, or I go and work somewhere, the very first conversation I have almost with everyone, whether it is in one on one conversation or a group meeting, that I, Singh, have failed myself in last 25 years in corporate America. Leaders are expected to get this kind of psychic behavior or psych interpretation that they know everything, they can smell everything, they can breathe everything. Well, I don't. I failed myself not to develop any psychic power. So, two things, two simple requests: don't make assumptions. I know anything, and I will not make assumptions. You know anything. So, if there has to be a question, it needs to be asked, not assumed. So, listen for the unspoken. Remember, your team is not psychic, and neither are you. Ask the questions no one is asking. What is one thing I could do differently to help you succeed? As simple as that, right? Express boundaries. If you're not a morning person, don't fake it. Say, I'm my best after 10 a.m., right? Before that, approach at your own risk. Or if you are not a night person, then let them know, hey, after 8 p.m., I might not give a response unless it is an urgent. Text me if you need something, right? The next is adapt as you go. Leadership is like parenting during summer break, right? No plan survives first contact. So be flexible. Reinforce in action. Talk is cheap. If you expect your team to set boundaries, you better respect theirs too. If you expect clarity, then model clarity. So let's make this real for a second. Look at what is happening in workflows right now: hybrid work, remote teams, AI tools like ChatGPT writing half hour emails. It's whirlwind, right? Expectations have never been murkier. Uh, Look at the latest story about Zoom, for instance, right? Did you hear the remote work champion told employees to come back to office part time? Irony, right? But here's the kicker: the backlash was not just about policy, it was about lack of clarity. Employees did not know how this would work, what it meant for their schedules, or why it was even happening. That's why clarity matters. And then you have multiple office, people don't know which office you're going to, where your seats are allocated. Now, whether you're managing a small team or navigating company wide shifts, people need to know what is expected of them. And when they don't, guess what? They fill in the blanks with worst case scenarios. Don't leave room for those blanks. So here's your challenge for the week: take what you have learned today and apply it. Start with just one step. Maybe you clarify a deadline that's been causing stress. Maybe you ask your team what is really on their minds. Or maybe you finally tell that one overachiever on your team, no, you don't have to answer emails at 2 a.m. This is not about overhauling overnight, right? Leadership is not about perfection, it's about progress, about clarity. Clarity is progress. Because people don't leave companies, I just said, they leave confusion. They leave unclear leaders who lead them guessing. You can be different. You can be a leader who brings clarity, even in chaos. So get out there, get clear, and match what happens. Your team will thank you. Your stress levels will thank you. And honestly, future you will thank you for getting ahead of the mess before it even starts. Now, if you love this episode, here is how you can take it a step further. Share this episode. Share it with your coworker who constantly says, let's circle back to this later. Tag me on LinkedIn with your takeaways and subscribe and leave a review. All right, that is for today. Remember, lead loud, lead proud. And above all, keep clear. Thanks for listening to Mindful Leadership. I will see you next week. You have been listening to Mindful Leadership with Singh. Subscribe and leave a review to let us know how we are doing. See you next time.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building strong connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together, one mindful moment at a time. See you next week.